What's good, family? It's your man, the YB. Back once again. Oh no. Oscar de la Coca, aka Oscar de la Sniffer. Yeah? Oscar de la Sluglines has aired out Canelo Bomelo's performance. In fact, he's aired out both of them. Because, listen, both of them went out super duper sad. I've got another video coming soon. Teddy Atlas made me laugh. I've been telling people for a while now, Canelo hasn't shown true greatness really ever in his career, bottom line. And to be quite frank, neither has Triple G. Either way though, Teddy Atlas basically came out in his last video in reaction to the Trilogy and said exactly what I've been saying. Yeah, and all you hating ass dudes out there, yeah, I bet no doubt you suck Teddy off and then tell me you're a Canelo hater. Listen, anyone who's a pugilist of this sport, listen, I'm not saying I could do a better job. Yeah, I'd probably jack too. I'm just calling a spade compared to the historical standard of what we've seen other men do. GGG and Canelo don't hold up to that standard, especially when, fair enough, yeah, to some extent, Mayweather, he never really dug deep, but he had a different style. The issue is, when you've got two Mexican style dudes, like Canelo, like Golovkin, there's no way you can't be having barn burner fights. Yeah, if you're meant to be a pressure fighter who don't pressure and who don't commit, who don't get stuck in, that's a problem. Yeah, Golovkin's fought one Hall of Famer, and that was Canelo. And in 2 of 3 of them, in 2 out of the 3 fights, all of a sudden, Mr. Big Drama Show, Mr. Big Knockouts, turned into a ballerina looking to box. Facts. Yeah, the second and third fight in particular. And even the first fight, he wasn't that on it, but certainly number 2 and 3. Yeah, I don't know what Golovkin felt in the first fight, but for the second and third fight, Golovkin, for the only time in his career, turned into a ballerina. That's a problem. Yeah, what's that? The first time you fight a Hall of Famer, all of a sudden, you're trying to be political. That's dead. Anyone can be a bully. Anyone can beat up lesser people. The true test, and we've seen people do it, listen, look at Ali. Ali versus Foreman. Ali was well past his best at that point. That's greatness. And people, look, I mean, I wasn't around then, yeah, but from what I've heard, when Ali was going in there with Foreman, yeah, people were telling him he was going to literally pass away, get killed. Because Foreman was 23-year-old, prime of his life, big, strong, buff dude. And people thought Ali was going to get whatevered. It was Ali's greatness that enabled him to win that fight. And guess what? He didn't just win it on points, did he? No, he knocked the guy out. That's greatness. Canelo in there, who's the prime fighter, in there with Golovkin, 40-year-old. And he's gassed out and loses the last 8 rounds. What the fuck? What's great about that? Do you know what I'm saying? And same as Golovkin. Golovkin fought Canelo coming up a weight division and was a ballerina in the second fight. Oh, what's great about that? Nothing. Yeah? Golovkin had no problem setting about Kell Brook and punching him up. But all of a sudden, when he went in there with someone his own size and his own ability, he a ballerina. That's not great, I'm afraid. There's nothing great about that. It's just not. Yeah? And I gotta be honest, for 2 people who are supposed to, look at the great fights, Gatti and Ward, as an example. Those 2 men didn't have the skills, necessarily, of Canelo and Golovkin, but they had spades of greatness. Yeah? That's what 2 people who are great do. That's how it goes down when you've got 2 greats in the ring. They get at it. Yeah? They don't come out, you know what I mean? They don't come out, and let's not forget people, Golovkin has slagged off fighters in the past. Oh, they're boring. Floyd's boring. Yeah? Black fighters are boring, and that's fine. I'm the first person to say Floyd's boring. However, don't be slagging Floyd off saying he's boring, and then, after you've had a boring fight, come out and say, oh, look at my face, there's no damage on it. That's the kind of shit Floyd would say, and you lot was laughing at him. And the difference is, in all fairness to Floyd, Floyd's never talked about big drama show. Yeah, Floyd's never talked about Mexican style. You were the one ranting and raving about Mexican style. Yeah, you were the one ranting and raving about boring fights. And really, you've had a couple boring fights of your own. Oops. Yeah. It's worse in my world, yeah, it's much worse to be a hypocrite than it is just to be boring. Like, Floyd's boring, but he ain't a hypocrite. Floyd will tell you he gonna bore everyone to tears. My issue is when you've got two Mexican style dudes putting on stinkers time and time again. Too many times now we've seen Canelo go in there and just, I don't know what you call it, it's just, I mean, the Floyd fight really. Canelo has not changed since the Floyd fight. In the Floyd fight, it was required, and I suggest, yeah, everyone go and watch De La Hoya versus Floyd. That's Mexican style. Yeah, that's greatness. De La Hoya was washed up, weight trained, and still, in my opinion, beat Floyd. He beat Floyd's ass, and even Floyd Mayweather Sr. said he won the fight. De La Hoya did. Yeah? A washed up De La Hoya, because of his greatness, because of his inner hunger, stuck it all over Floyd. And at the time, going into the 7 years later, yeah, when De La Hoya was managing Canelo, De La Hoya was gassed, thinking, yeah, I've got the guy who's going to beat Floyd. Why was De La Hoya thinking that? He was extrapolating. Well, I was 40-year-old, and I almost beat Floyd. Imagine what this stronger punching, more heavy-handed, younger bull in Canelo's going to do to him. Difference is, Canelo didn't have the greatness De La Hoya did. Canelo went in there and got dog-walked. He wasn't prepared to take the risk. He wasn't prepared to, De La Hoya, yeah, had no self-preservation in that Floyd fight. He went in there and just left it all out there. All of Floyd's pity-patty shots, De La Hoya walked straight through them. Every shot Floyd threw, De La Hoya threw 6. Yeah? That's greatness. Whereas Canelo sat there at mid-range and just felt sorry for himself. We've seen it time and time again. I'm sorry, yeah, what's great about losing a fight and feeling sorry for yourself? Do something about it. Especially when you're the one who talk about Mexican style. It's not rocket science, people. Yeah, if you're getting outboxed by some old man like Floyd, you put your elbows in, you put your chin down, and you walk forward. We've seen De La Hoya do it, and we've seen Maidana do it. Why couldn't Canelo do it? Prime guy. Yeah? Same as... And I don't even mind so much against Bivol, but it's the same thing. Canelo's never showed greatness. In all the fights he's losing, he goes out like a wet fart. Yeah? There's no inner... I'm sorry, there's no greatness. Canelo's good at winning when he's winning. When he's not winning, he's losing. Yeah? Canelo doesn't have that greatness X factor, which makes you think, well, even if Canelo's losing, you never know. He doesn't have that, does he? If Canelo starts losing a fight, yeah, it's over for him. We've seen it way too many times. And really, I mean, look at the Golovkin fight. Look at that Golovkin trilogy. He told everyone he was going to get the knockout and really almost lost the fight by losing the last 4 rounds. Who does that? Against an old man. Golovkin's on 40-year-old legs. How are you getting beaten in the championship rounds? What the fuck? There's nothing great about that. There's nothing great about losing the championship rounds against an old man who you said you were going to knock out. The whole sport's really, the fact Canelo, yeah, is the best we've got. It shows how bad the sport really is right now. Because in my opinion, Canelo, yeah, and Golovkin, they wouldn't lace the boots of the old guys, man. They'd get washed. I just know it. They'd get washed. Too much ambition. Yeah? They'd get broken. In my opinion, these new age guys would get broken by the old school cats. They just would. They haven't got it like that. They're too soft, bottom line. Yeah? Too soft. Anyway, De La Hoya. Here's the bars from De La Hoya. The truth is, everyone is afraid of speaking the truth. The truth is, everyone is afraid of speaking the truth. This fight was a effing dud. Wow. GGG was old as F. And Carmelo can't hold Hopkins's jock strap. Now, someone made a good point. Someone said, to be fair to these two guys, De La Hoya has had bum fights, and so has Hopkins. Yeah, the difference is, people, Hopkins and De La Hoya have actually showed greatness. Anyone can have a bum fight. The issue is when you always have bum fights. And I'm sorry, yeah, Canelo, when he's losing, he always has bum fights. He never shows his greatness. And to be quite frank, he rarely shows his greatness even when he's winning. For example, this Golovkin fight. Anyone can stop Billy Joe in that sense, you know what I'm saying? That don't prove nothing. What matters is what you do against your peers. Yeah? That's great. Stopping Billy Joe, that's not great, because Billy Joe's below your level. Stopping Plant isn't great. You're supposed to do that. Now, against someone like Golovkin, who really, he shouldn't even be your peer now. He's 40 years old. You should have been doing to him like you did the rest of them. But you just didn't. Not even close. Didn't even put the guy down. Really, didn't even hurt the guy. What the fuck? And Golovkin, to be quite frank, Golovkin ducked Andre Ward. That's the fact. He ducked Andre Ward and did really nothing else. I keep hearing people say, oh, Golovkin had the craziest run ever. Who did he fight? Go on. What Hall of Famers did he fight? Golovkin doesn't even have a Charlo or an Andrade on his resume. He doesn't. Golovkin has one fighter on his resume, and he lost 2 out of 3 times. And that was Canelo. He's got one top level guy. He doesn't have any of the real athletes like Charlo, like Andrade. None of them ones. He has all the bums like Martin Murray and Martin this and Martin Andrews, all these random ass B-level, C-level dudes. And that's why, to be fair to Canelo is leagues above Golovkin, because at least Canelo, he has the Billy Joes, and Golovkin don't even have them names. He just don't. He doesn't have their mid-tier names. He has bums, yeah, and Canelo, that's it. Okay, Jacobs, I'll give him, yeah, to be fair, Jacobs is like a Charlo or an Andre. I'll give him that. Yeah, Golovkin can have, yeah, he fought one athlete in Jacobs, fair play to him. But still, not enough. And the fact that Golovkin really went out of his way to duck Andre Ward, that says a lot as well. Yeah, it's interesting. Guess what? Golovkin had no problem going up in weight for a payday against Canelo. But at the time, when both men were prime, Andre Ward and Golovkin, Ward wanted it. There's a leaked video where Golovkin says, oh no, Ward's too good. What? And that really exposes a lot about Golovkin, to be honest. And that's another reason Canelo's leagues above Golovkin, because whatever we say about Canelo, at least he got in there with Bivol. At least he went to 168. This guy Golovkin, just sat at 160, didn't even fight the Andrades and the Charlos. You know what I mean? And listen, end of the day, man, both of these two guys, I mean, De La Hoya, unfortunately, actually ended up deleting the message. So that's a bit of a clown move, but he ain't telling no lies here. Yeah? The performance was pitiful. And when you look at their careers on the whole, really, that fight, yeah, that trilogy, that sums up both of their careers. More so Golovkin, but still, that still summed up their careers. Neither of them have that greatness about them. For example, Golovkin could have gone in there and left it all out there, kind of thing. Bearing in mind, people, it was well known, you're not gonna get a judge's scorecard. Everyone knows that. Golovkin knew that twice now. And Golovkin was hinting he understood that. How can he not? He knows he's not going to get the judges' scorecards. He knows this is more or less his last fight. And the crazy thing is, Golovkin has the safety of 168, in as much as no matter what happened at 168, he always had his belts to go back to finish off on a high note. I've said that to say everything was set up here for Golovkin to go in there and really empty the gas tank and leave it all out there. Instead, he goes in there and loses 8 rounds off the rip. The fuck? Well, what's great about that? Go on. What's great about? And he wasn't even trying either. It's not a case of, well, YB, Golovkin came out and was really giving it, but Canelo was just better. No. Golovkin was a passenger for them first 8 rounds. He was a sideman. Nothing great about that. Now, he came on strong in the last 4, but again, that's more to do with Canelo's lack of greatness. Yeah? At the time, when Canelo was supposed to be pushing on against the old man, he does what he always does. Switches off, runs out of gas, gives in to his cardio, and loses the next 4 rounds. There's a reason they call them the championship rounds. That's where the great ones push on and get the stoppage. They don't shrivel up. Unbelievable. Especially when you're out here. I feel sorry for Canelo's fans. Now, luckily for me, I didn't buy into it. But I'll guarantee you a whole bag of people was buying into Canelo talking about, I'm going to get the stoppage. He was almost arrogant. Yeah, I'm going to knock the guy out. He was telling anyone who would listen, I'm getting the knockout. And listen, I'm not saying, I understand sport. Anything can happen in sport, yeah. But it's the fact that he weren't even really trying. Was he really? Show me a round where you saw Canelo take some risk, yeah, and start really unloading. Show me a round where you can see Canelo's actively going for a stoppage. None. It's a bad look. Honestly, the sport's in a bad place right now. It really is. This is the equivalent, yeah, in the UK. At the moment, a lot of football teams, the players are just lazy, man. The players don't have no hunger. They just kind of turn up. And boxing, unfortunately, is in a similar position. These guys are so morbidly overpaid for sparring sessions. Even Abel Sanchez said it looked like a glorified sparring session. I think at the end of the 8th round, Golovkin and Canelo started tapping gloves as well. I was like, what the fuck? You're supposed to be arch enemies and you're tapping gloves in the middle of a sparring session. It's like, dead. So yeah, De La Hoya's completely correct. A lot of people said, oh, he's bitter. I don't care what he is. He's talking big facts right now. More people need to say it. Unbelievable, really, when you think about it. When you think about what these two men have really done in the ring, I'm just not impressed compared to the historical standard. Anyway, smash the like button, subscribe, and your boy will be back 100%.